G'day guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a horror film from Spain, Spanish language English subs, released in the year 2013, directed by Alex de la Iglesia, and this film is called Witching and Bitching. So Witching and Bitching starts off in Madrid, the capital of Spain, and there are some robbers who are planning a robbery that goes haywire. Basically it backfires big time, and all of a sudden they find themselves that a few of them have been killed in shootouts with the police, and the surviving members have sought refuge and are on the run through the remote parts of Spain. So they've got the police closely behind them, they've got a duo of detectives who are following their every lead, and the robbers, they are desperately seeking somewhere to lay low for a while, and they come across this very remote area run by a group of very strange women. So the bank robbers, they feel that they're harmless enough, but before long they realise they're in the clutches of a coven of witches who are hell-bent on doing a human sacrifice, and they are basically the prime contenders. So their night is about to go from bad to very, very bad, and whether or not they can outlast the witches that are trying to hunt them down, it's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Witching and Bitching. Alex de la Iglesia is a cult director, and he directed another film that I absolutely adored, which is called Last Circus. It's about two clowns battling it out, and that really made me a fan of Alex de la Iglesia. Now, I haven't seen any of his other films. I've got Perdita Durango that I'll watch very soon and review it. But the only comparison I can make is The Last Circus. Now, The Last Circus, as I said, was a tragic tale. It was very funny. It was very shocking. There was strong horror. There was strong comedy. And everything combines to make a very caricature kind of feeling. I thought the vibe in that movie was very far-fetched. It felt very surreal. It almost felt cartoonish. So Witching and Bitching shares a very similar approach to that of The Last Circus, in that it's a very surreal film. It feels like almost a cartoon. You've got the witches who look great. I mean, the makeup effects were absolutely fantastic, and there were moments in the film that were shocking, that were kind of crazy, and towards the end it really kicks into the horror element as well. So it's a slow burn. It's much more of a slow burner, Witching and Bitching, and that's going to put a lot of people off. But I felt that the majority of the film was really well done. It's a very entertaining movie, but unfortunately it's not as good as The Last Circus. I thought The Last Circus was a lot more bonkers. I thought this movie, there were moments where it dragged, the dialogue wasn't as good, although there were funny moments, there were moments that were trying to be funny that weren't quite as funny. I thought some of the characters were very good, some of the characters were not so good. I liked the bank robber, I liked his group of friends. They start off as very intimidating, but then all of a sudden the tables have turned, and all of a sudden, they're the helpless victims, and they've met their match. And that's what Alex de la Iglesia did in Last Circus. You've got the happy clown and the sad clown. The sad clown was getting bullied, then all of a sudden the tables turn, and it's a completely different approach and direction the movie has. So Witching and Bitching does have that moment where it does feel like this is a director who makes his own unique films, that you watch a movie and you can say to yourself, that is Alex de la Iglesia, and that does show you how good this director is. You've got Gaspar Noé, who does it in France. You've got other directors, David Lynch, David Cronenberg, who make their films very unique, so they separate themselves from everybody else. And so Witching and Bitching, it does share similarities with The Last Circus, but it does show you that this director is very, very good. I thought the cinematography was excellent, very, very eerie. I liked the fact that the witches were done in a very terrifying manner. There was one moment towards the end where this, I'm not going to give anything away, but it had me in stitches. It was absolutely hysterical, and I thought it was just a good way to cap off what was a very fun film. Now, as I said, not Alex de la Iglesia's best film, but certainly not his worst. I thought, as I said, some moments dragged, some moments were really, really good, and it just didn't feel as consistent as The Last Circus. It didn't feel like it was pushing the boundaries as much. It wasn't as shocking. It felt like the violence was a lot tamer, and it just felt like it was reined in a lot, and it didn't really feel like Alex de la Iglesia was taking too much of a risk with Witching and Bitching. There were moments in The Last Circus that really had you on edge, and it really felt very offensive. It didn't feel appropriate. Whereas in this movie, although it does take the subject of witchcraft and all that kind of stuff, human sacrifice, it still didn't feel like it was pushing it as much as an Alex de la Iglesia film would push it. And from what I've heard, Perdita Durango pushes it even further. But so Witching and Bitching, if you're an Alex de la Iglesia diehard fan, I would still say go out there and see it, but you might be disappointed by what you get in the end, because it just didn't feel like it was as explosive as his other film, The Last Circus. So if you like Alex de la Iglesia, highly recommend it. If you're not a fan of this guy, then I would say Witching and Bitching is still an entertaining film, but it's very, very crazy. So just be careful of that. If you can stomach some of the stuff that happens in the film, then I would say go out there and see it, and you're in for a good time. So overall, for Witching and Bitching, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.